Test. We should be live, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and welcome along to the coverage. Here in Monaco, we have got the second round, well, we've got the second practice session starting in 28 minutes time. We've had quite the exciting FP1 session. We had Ferrari end up the session at the top of the grid. We had track temperatures up at 37 degrees Celsius, air temperature at 24. And, well, a nice start to the weekend, to be honest. Nice start to the weekend, yeah. Hope you guys all had a nice little break in between the streams. I went and got myself some nice lunch. And, yeah. Back for some more. So just to recap here, most of these drivers, everyone's best lap was, I think, done on a set of medium tyres, with the exception of Perez and Bottas, who did it on softs. Yeah. Is Hadjar's car repaired? I have not been that. Well, I haven't found anything confirming or denying whether Hadjar's car has been repaired, but I shall try and find out. Give me just a second. I'll see if Red Bull have put anything out on their social media pages or anything like that. No, they haven't released anything just yet regarding, is Hadjar taking part or not, but we'll just have to wait and see. When do you usually start to receive the data / connect versus the start time? Well, for practice sessions, it's typically about 10 minutes before. And then for quali, I would say maybe 15. And then for the race, it's about 45 minutes before. Yeah. How was FP1? I missed it. Did reserve drivers participate? No, we did not have any reserve drivers in FP1. Typically, they don't really do that around Monaco. They want their actual drivers to get as much time on the track as possible. And it's a little bit too risky putting junior drivers that haven't driven a Formula 1 car before to give them the first chance to drive around Monaco. So, no, we had no rookie drivers. And the session itself, we had a few little scares here and there. Fernando Alonso deposited a bit of debris onto the circuit towards the end of the session. We had a red flag for Hadjar crashing. He lost the rear going through the swimming pool chicane, and that was a bit of an issue for him. And with the exception of that, it was relatively issue-free, and the rest of the drivers made it through unscathed. Yeah. Who did the most laps? Let me double check. It looks like the most laps were completed by Arvin Lindblad with 34 laps completed. Then we have Alex Albon with 33 laps completed. And then Gasly with 32 laps completed, and so was Colapinto, both Alpine drivers with 32 laps, and then we had quite a few drivers with 31 laps. Charles Leclerc 31 laps, Antonelli 31 laps, so was Sainz, so was Behrman, so was Ocon, so was Lawson. So yeah, we're looking at about 30 plus for the top number of laps completed. But yes, the highest was 34, and that was Lindblad. It's good for him. Of course, he needs a bit more time acclimatizing to the circuit, given that he's never driven a Formula 1 car around here before. He has, of course, driven Formula 2 and Formula 3, which are also taking part this season. And obviously this season, but they're also taking part this weekend in Monaco. And yeah, not too much carnage, clearly, in FP2. Well, for the Formula 2 car, sorry. Really jumbling up my words today. Is there a sprint race? No, there is not. No, there is not. If Hadjar's car is still broken by qualifying tomorrow, do you think he's likely to get overtakes from the back of the grid? Well, it's unlikely that he'll get any overtakes from the back of the grid, but it's also very, very unlikely that they're not going to be able to fix the car till qualifying. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. F1 Gamer, do you think Mercedes will improve with their thingamajig on the rear wing? Not really. If you look through the upgrade document, a lot of teams have brought upgrades to the rear part of the car, which are Monaco specific. And yes, the Mercedes one looks the most flamboyant, but just because it looks the most flamboyant doesn't mean it's going to be the best performing. Yeah. Projected quick lap. I unfortunately don't have a lap time simulator to give you a projected fastest lap, but from what I can see, right, I am expecting lap times in the 111s. I think 111 should be what we expect. Maybe a little lower, but I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the 2025 pole time, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's a tough ask. Do you think Aston Martin can do something onwards because they've apparently made updates? I mean, look, maybe they could, but their FP1 session wasn't so promising at the end of the day. Not a large number of laps completed. In fact, they are the team with the least number of laps completed out of any of the teams on the grid. So I don't know if that was issues or if that was more problems that they've got with their upgrades that they brought, but it's never a good sign with Stroll only completing 16 laps, and the only driver that completed less than Stroll was Isaac Hadjar, who crashed halfway through the session. And we got Alonso with 21 laps completed. Also, that is the third lowest number of laps completed by any driver, and so it is Hadjar who crashed halfway through the session, then it's Stroll, and then it's Alonso. So yeah, suboptimal to say the least, really. Okay. F1 Gamer, do you think Kimi is going to win the Grand Prix? No, actually, I think it's going to be with the way the Ferrari is going. I would like to jump onto the Ferrari hype train. It's always nice to do that, and it's going to be a Ferrari 1-2, guys. You heard it here first. It's sad how Bottas' performance is bad. Yeah, I mean, look, like, I don't know how, if there was an issue with his car, but he was a second and a half off Perez. He's clearly not putting in extraordinary amounts of effort to get the quickest lap times as well. Like, there's just no need really in the Cadillac. But Bottas is doing his thing, right? He's still keeping up his training routine. I was looking at his Strava. He'd done like what had he done? Done like 30 kilometers of riding his bike around Monaco yesterday. Yeah, nothing too out the ordinary there for Valtteri Bottas. F1 Gamer, off topic. Your shirt looks good. Can you stand up a little? I want to see the full fit. I mean, like, it's nothing really amazing. It's just sort of a standard jumper and then a shirt on the inside. Yeah. Just because you don't like a team or a driver, or doesn't mean that you need to be delusional. They're the favourite for this track by a ton. Well, yeah, I mean, I maybe they are the favourites. Like, I don't know. Like, I know that Ferrari are good in the slow speed corners, but I guess yeah, it is coming true that the Ferrari are doing well this at Monaco. We'll just see. Like, to be honest, I don't really look at much of what the consensus is within the media or the other so-called experts because yeah, I mean, most of the time I just find that they're just not really correct. So I just don't really bother. Don't really bother listening to them, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, not that I'm correct most of the time either. I just think that when it's your job to be a TV presenter and to make some predictions, because that's what loads of people want to hear, right? Loads of people want to hear, oh, what does Ted Kravitz want to say about who's the favorite? like, it's their job to make a prediction. That doesn't mean it's going to be correct, right? So, yeah. You think Cadillac can get some points? Yeah. I think it'll require a wet race and some chaos, but I think Cadillac could score some points. Hulkenberg. Yeah, Hulkenberg's not doing too bad, is he? Seventh position there for the Hulk, and he's been able to manage quite nicely. Yeah, managed the Audi quite nicely, and just doing a pretty reasonably good job there, isn't Hulkenberg? They have reportedly a good chassis that should help them out around Monaco. So looks to be true. Change the YouTube title to FP2. The YouTube title is FP2, buddy. I think you probably just have to refresh the website. Or do you mean this thing over here on the left? This will get refreshed when in about 7 minutes time. Yeah. Do you think Kimi is going to crash? He's not exactly great with wheel to wheel, and he seems to have quite the ego currently, which could affect his racing. No, yeah, I don't think it's if he's going to crash. I think it's sort of when. It is an inevitability, in a championship fight. When it's your first championship fight, you're a rookie, new to Formula One. I think you're bound to have a crash at some point, right? It's even Lewis Hamilton, right? He had his thing 2007. He was going for the title and beached himself in the pit lane entry at China, and at some point it will happen. And as for the ego thing, look, it's always a difficult balance, right, between confidence, overconfidence, and sometimes it plays out in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. And also, if I was a 19-year-old that was a Formula One driver, I mean, personally, my ego would be pretty high. I mean, if I was a Formula 3 reserve driver, I would, yeah. So I think he's done a reasonably good job of keeping himself grounded. Still has to do all of his schoolwork and homework and things like that, even if he does give it to his engineers to do. Yeah. Right. Sportsbook speak with money. Both of them have the best odds. Everyone else is next. Oh, really? All of the betting websites saying that Ferrari have got the best odds? Oh, that is interesting, actually. Let's have a look. So, oh yeah, this is interesting, folks. So the driver with the highest odds of winning the Monaco Grand Prix, according to the betting websites, is 44% chance for Charles Leclerc, 17% chance for Lewis Hamilton, 13% chance for Kimi Antonelli, 9% Lando Norris, 10% Max Verstappen, 9% George Russell, and then the rest of the drivers are adding up the rest of the percentages. So that is yeah, quite interesting, actually. If you've seen the Mercedes Insta, they're playing Damage Control with George and Kimi. Do you think they'll be able to move past it, or will it be 2016 all over again? I don't know. It's a tough one to say. I think that no, I don't think it will be a 2016 scenario just yet, right? Like, it's the first time that these drivers are even close in a championship battle. So, and it's also very early on in the season. If something was to happen, I think it'd happen a little bit later on. I think right now, tensions will remain high, but I don't think they're going to boil over. You mean the lowest odds, not the highest? Oh yeah, probably. I'm not much of a betting person, to be honest. So, I haven't yeah, I don't really know much about odds, to be totally honest with you guys. Okay. Lawson escaped getting a penalty for red light on pit exit. Sensible decision, I think. Oh, I didn't see that, actually. Oh, no. Yeah, it did say just here, actually. FIA stewards incident noting car number 30, that being Liam Lawson, will be investigated after the session for leaving the pit lane exit on a red light. That is a 2:30.01. So literally 1 second after the red light appeared, Liam Lawson left the pit lane. So I suspect, it's because the pit lane exit hasn't got a yellow light. You know how it's normally you've got red light, then yellow light, then green light. And then if it's yellow or orange, you can just sort of go and get away with it because it's within sort of margin of error. I suspect a same sort of defence will have been used there for Liam Lawson not to get a penalty. Okay. Holt score his second podium here. Ooh, second podium's a bit of a tall order, really, because that probably mean he's got to qualify on the top four, which could happen. Anything could happen, but it seems unlikely. I think top 10 though, double points for Audi. That is definitely on the cards. So is Haas still cooked, or are they going to be competitive? Tough to say. Yeah, their performances was just your standard Monaco session. The problem is, right, in Monaco you don't actually get a representative FP1 session because all of the drivers take a slightly different approach to Monaco, and sometimes these drivers will go out and attack from the start, right? So like Max Verstappen, like Charles Leclerc, and some of the drivers will be like, I'm going to take it nice and casual, nice and chill, and I'm slowly going to build up to this. So this is why you see such a big difference in the lap times. You can see, about 2.5 seconds from first position down to 19th position. Now, of course, that is partially due to the pace difference, but that is also partially due to the approach difference, the mentality difference between the drivers, between the teams, and what they've been instructed to do. F1 Gamer, do you think Kimi can win the championship? Do you think he can handle the pressure for a 19-year-old? Look, I'm sure it's a huge amount of pressure, but I think when it comes to dealing with pressure, there are certain people that can just deal with it better. It's not there's of course an element of age to it and experience and knowledge about just life as a whole that will contribute significantly, but I think it is also fair to say that some people just deal with pressure slightly better than others. And, Kimi Antonelli has lived up to a lot of pressure, really, when he joined Formula One. Of course, there wasn't the entire focus of the media on him last year when he joined. There was, a little bit at the start, but then, he flew under the radar a little bit. He had a few outstanding performances and then was generally getting beaten by Russell. And, coming into this season, that has obviously changed quite a lot. So we'll see now how he deals with the pressure of the media, because the other thing is, a lot of these drivers, while they have the external pressures of the media, they also hold themselves to an extremely high standard, and a lot of the pressure that they put on themselves is, a lot of pressure that they have is majority of it from themselves. So we'll see how he copes, really. We'll see how he copes. Let's just pop up the FP2 data, and let me get rid of the other one. Pressure isn't the same, a lap ahead. Yeah, that's also true, but what's the guarantee that Kimi Antonelli is going to stay half a second ahead of Russell or ahead of the competition? Like, McLaren picked up a lot of pace earlier on in the season. What's not to say that they can continue on their comeback and close up the gap even further. it's an endless development race between both of the teams, between McLaren and Mercedes. With Red Bull also catching up, right there, their weight is getting lighter and lighter. They've got some more reliability upgrades and things like that to make things lighter. So, let me just block the adverts. Apologies there. And so, yeah, it's an interesting one, and yeah, you can never know how it's going to play out, right? At this point in the season, last year in 2025, if you asked me who was going to win the championship, I'd be like, oh, probably Oscar Piastri. He's beating Lando Norris quite consistently. He's got a big lead in the championship. Nobody looks like they're going to catch McLaren, and it should be easy peasy, job done. Oscar Piastri wins the season with 3 races left to go or something. But, that is not how it turned out. And it went right to the wire. Max Verstappen caught up. So it is far too early to be making any sort of predictions. Okay. F1 Gamer, how much do you think Aston Martin have improved by the end of this year? I can't be the only one to think it's all over. Look, it doesn't look that good. And the only sort of sign of hope in all of this for the Aston Martin team and for the Cadillac team is that going from 2 seconds back to 1 second back is a whole lot easier than going from 1 second back to all the way onto the margin, all the way onto the pace. So the development work that they have ahead of them to catch up to the back of the pack or into the midfield is a whole lot easier, and they should be able to get that done relatively soon. But yeah, I don't know what's taken so long at Aston Martin. Like, they've got their new facilities, they've got their new buildings, new engineers, new hires. Maybe the management isn't focused in the right direction. Maybe it's a little bit all over the place. Like, that could be something that's of course contributing to it, because this is another thing, right? When you have a relatively small team, and before it was Aston Martin, it was Racing Point, and before it was Racing Point, it was Force India. Force India was known to be one of the leanest budget teams in Formula One. They always had the smallest budget, but they could always extract huge amounts from the small budget, and they could potentially score a few good podiums here and there with Sergio Perez at the wheel. And then when you go from a team with tiny little budgets to then a huge budget like with Aston Martin, somewhere along that process from when you go to a small team to a big team, you lose the spark or the magic that made you perform at such an incredible level, and maybe it gets lost in bureaucracy, or the managers aren't helping you out as much as they should be. It's very, very tough to say, right? It's a team made up of hundreds or thousands of people, so yeah, there's definitely something that's happened though. Yeah. Where do I watch F1 this weekend? It is on ORF. O for Oscar, R for Race, F for Ferrari. I'll just pop it up on the screen. You can watch the broadcast there. We're about 5 minutes out from starting FP1, ladies and gents. Yeah. F1 Gamer, do you think Ferrari are going to gain time in slow speed corners? Well, look, they are good in the slow speed corners compared to everyone else, so they must be gaining time. They're top of the leaderboard also, so they must be gaining time. Yeah, it's. We'll look at the telemetry, right? I'll have a look at the telemetry once the once FP2 is over and once before qualifying begins. Yeah, that's what I'll do actually. I will pull up some telemetry before before qualifying one, and I'll show you through all of the graphs and who's gaining time where and things like that. And it'll be nice to do some analysis. Okay. Track is pretty warm, meaning more grip. No, no. The warmer the track, it means the quicker your tires overheat, and then the less grip that you have. So track temperature up to now 31.5 degrees, air temperature at 23.2. So that's about 4 degrees warmer in terms of track temperature since FP1, and that will be making the tires overheat a little bit. But on the flip side, of course, it means that the drivers are. It's a lot easier for them to warm up their tyres over the course of a outlap, because it's quite the short outlap, which means that it's quite difficult to actually to warm up your tyres over the course of, I think it's just over 2 miles, right? Just over 2 miles, about 3.3 kilometers or so. The warmer conditions will definitely be helping with that. Do you think we'll be in the top 10? I definitely think Audis are going to be in the top 10. Both of them, actually. Yeah, that's my forecast. You think George Russell's slower than usual? Yes, I think so. He has got to that point where, you start feeling the pressure, and you essentially just have to keep going on, one foot after another. You can't just stop doing what you're doing, because whatever you were doing in the past is what makes you quick. So you've got to carry on, despite the bad performances and things like that. Is FP1 of the new rear wings helping? I mean, of course they're helping a little bit. It's just not a huge amount, really. And also, we can't really tell a big difference between if they are helping or not, because everyone is using the new type of rear wing. So it's all sort of a level playing field, if you want to put it that way. Okay, we got George Russell there queued up at the end. We got switching off at the end of the pit lane, and there we go. We're getting drivers coming out onto the track soon enough. Alrighty. You think Ferrari might ruin their strategy? It's pretty difficult to ruin your strategy around here in Monaco. Just do a one-stop and don't get undercut. Job done. Yeah. Yeah, this ranking is by the drivers' numbers. So you can see, of course, Lando Norris with number 1, he's at the top. Then you've got Verstappen with number 3, he's there in second. Bortoletto number 5, he's there in third. And then, of course, you've got Piastri down at the bottom with 81, and Behrman with 87. All right, let's get rid of the YouTube chat. Both forgot Monaco 2022. Well, Monaco 2022 is that was the one with rain, right? I remember that actually, because I wasn't going to stream Monaco 2022 because I had like an exam the next week or something, or in the next 2 days. But then I was like, oh, it's raining in Monaco, you can't miss that. So I decided to stream that day, and thankfully my exam the following week went all right. But yeah, that was an exciting race in 2022. Or maybe or was it 23 that rained? I don't know. Either way, drivers out on medium tyres now, and we are underway for free practice 2. Oh, was it 2023? Oh, or did it rain in both? Some people saying 23, some people saying both. Okay, both rained in 23. Charles just Someone's in the chat just say Charles just crashed. Well, you think you're very funny, but I don't believe you there, mate. Brilliant. There's that. We've got cars coming out onto the circuit. Fantastic. Don't the drivers have to make 2 stops or just 1 stop? It will just be 1 stop. They had that rule in for last year. They realised it was silly, and we're back to the standard of just a 1-stop race. Is Red Bull going to bring a massive upgrade package in Austria? Potentially. I mean, we have seen this in the past where the teams will bring upgrade packages for their home races. You know, you'll see potentially Mercedes try to bring an upgrade for the British Grand Prix because, well, of course it would have been Lewis's or George's home Grand Prix, and also their factory is in Silverstone or close enough to Silverstone. So that makes it convenient for them to just manufacture the parts the day before and just drive them over in the morning. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we got everyone coming out on the circuit apart from Isaac Hadjar. Looks like his car has not been repaired just yet. I think the mechanics are hard at work trying to get that one fixed. But yes, he did crash earlier on in FP1, and it was damage to his front left suspension, rear left suspension, and his front wing and nose cone. There was also damage a little bit to the rear wing as well, so I don't know if they will have spare parts for the new upgraded rear wing. That is, you know, a thing to worry about. But no, Hadjar, everyone out on the track apart from Isaac Hadjar. Wild that they have cameras right in the drivers' helmets, the times that we live in. Yeah, honestly, it is. I mean, it's quite the immersive experience, right? Sitting there in the watching the driver's helmet cam. I mean, it would be pretty awesome if you had like a VR headset and you could watch the driver's helmet cam. That would be pretty dang cool. And yeah, oh, we got. Hulkenberg top of the times, very nice, but yeah, look at that, 121, so far away. Do you think anyone is going to be dumb enough to start the race on mediums or softs to give up track position? No, starting the race on the mediums seems like a pretty valid choice, to be honest. You start the race on the mediums, and then you do your 1 stop about lap number 30 or so. And then that's that. And then you put pit onto the hard tyres and then job done. We had a brief moment there with the 2 Audis up at the top, but it's been quickly taken away by Norris and now also Charles Leclerc. Both drivers come across the line with 1:17s on the clock. And then we have Verstappen go ahead of them into the 1:15s. And we got Hamilton also purple in the first sector. All right. Oh, Sergio Perez P5 in the Cadillac. Very nice. Start on the hards, pit with 5 laps remaining. Yeah, that could be an alternate strategy, of course. I think you'll need a bit of a safety car to help you out in that situation, but given it's Monaco, there's a pretty good chance of a safety car. All right, Lindblad up into P4. Here comes Lewis out of Raskas. Now comes towards the line. What's it going to be for the British driver? P1, 114.3 from Lewis Hamilton. Liam Lawson across the line, also 3rd position for him. Nicely done. That's quickly taken away by Colapinto, which is quickly taken away by Norris going up into 2nd, pushing Colapinto to 4th, Lawson to 5th. And we've got soft tyres for Stroll and Alonso. We'll see how that works out for them. Charles Leclerc P1, and that is a Ferrari P1 and 2, my friends. 114.2 for Leclerc, 114.3 for Lewis. George Russell comes across the line with a 115.3, a full second off Hamilton. Max Verstappen about half a second back with a 14.9. Perez up into 6th position as well, that's pretty good. And we've got Antonelli now 6th position. Alright, everyone is improving. Bottas across the line, 12th position. Alright, let's see what the Astons can do on their soft tyres. Stroll's 15th position for him. Alonso coming out of the final corner now. Lindblad improves up into 11th. Gasly starts a flying lap. Fernando Alonso improves up into 13th. Lawson improves up into 7th. And we've then got Piastri up into 8th. The lap times really are tumbling now. And still, the gap, you got the 2 Ferraris and then a 7/10 gap, ladies and gentlemen. 7 full tenths from Charles Leclerc to Max Verstappen. How has that happened, folks? How has that happened? The Ferraris looking pretty good in the slow speed corners, which is the entirety of Monaco. Alrighty. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Time for the Ferrari meme, of course. Of course, you can't miss out on it. Oh no, wrong button. There we go. Okay. Hamilton, their first sector, is about 10th slower than his previous first sector. We'll see what he can do in the second and third ones. The medium tyre, of course, will start to degrade a little bit quicker than it did in FP1. We have slightly warmer track conditions, and then, of course, in FP1, the drivers were using the hard tyres for the majority of it. Oh my goodness me, Charles Leclerc, purple first sector. This man is unstoppable. And Hamilton, I think, has he backed out of his lap? Yes, he has. Yeah, he made a mistake somewhere. Charles Leclerc, however, does not make mistakes. And that is purple in sector number 2, 34.7 from him. Is it going to be a triple purple for Charles Leclerc? Let's wait and see. Out of the final corner he comes. Lando Norris across the line, 4th position. It is the purple first sector for Charles Leclerc. Purple second sector. Purple lap time overall. The third sector, however, is yellow, but who cares? Charles Leclerc P1, and he's still a 10th clear of his teammate. George Russell improves. That's P3 for him. He's about 4 tenths back from Charles. And that final sector from Kimi Antonelli, simply monstrous. Oh my god, that final sector was incredible. And he's 16 milliseconds off Charles Leclerc. So the Ferrari hope and the Ferrari pace does not look so strong anymore. With Antonelli only a couple milliseconds back, but let's see how long that lasts for. Max Verstappen, purple in the first sector. No. Alright, it is totally on, folks. It is totally on. We're going to have a great battle. And Piastri up into 6th position there. McLaren's not looking so great, actually. Maybe, there's something down with their car. They're not so good in slow speed. But yeah, they find themselves on the 3rd row of the grid as of right now. Well, 3rd and 4th row. We've got Max now coming out of Rascasse in towards the final corner. What's it going to be for the Flying Dutchman? He's currently 7 tenths back. He's now 1 tenth ahead. P1 for Max Verstappen, a 1:14.008. Job done, bish bash bosh. And the Ferrari dominance has disappeared in a matter of minutes. However, Lewis has just gone purple in the first sector, so don't count out the Ferraris just yet. And let's see how they do. We got 6,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you're all enjoying the coverage. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. And of course, if you're interested in watching the Formula One coverage for only $1 a month, you can use Proton VPN. There's a link in the description. You search ORF Formula One on Google and you can watch the coverage for free. The only thing you need to do is have a VPN to Austria. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Hamilton purple in sector number 2. And here he comes then. What's it going to be? Will Ferrari find themselves back at the top of the pack with Lewis Hamilton's lap time? Yes, they will, by 0.3 of a second. Lewis Hamilton into the 1 minute 13s and by a very, very big margin. Holy moly there from Lewis. Final sector still got some improvement left to go. I mean, he's still 0.2 down on Verstappen in the final sector, but his first 2 sectors, out of this world. Yeah. We got Stroll in 20th, Alonso in 19th. Both drivers on softs unable to get any closer to the front of the field despite having the quicker tyres. I mean, just look at the traffic jam at the final few corners there, folks. It's chaos down there. We've got Bortoletto with the lap time deleted or something. Either way, Piastri comes across the line. He improves a 114.7. Not enough to gain any places, though. Yeah, not enough to gain any places. Would the advantage of different cars explain that different straight line advantage versus Ferrari? Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, some cars are quicker through the corners, some cars are quicker down the straights, and Ferrari is one of the cars that are quicker through the corners. Here, of course, in Monaco, you're very lucky that it's all corners pretty much, and it suits the strength of the Ferrari team. However, you do have to say that while they may be really good in Monaco, overall in the Formula One season, you've not got a lot of tracks like Monaco. They are far and few between. Oh, yellow flag. What's this? Lando Norris on the exit of the Nouvelle chicane. Yellow flag there for Norris as he has stopped. What is going on here? VSC's deployed. Norris getting out of the car, folks. Norris getting out of the car. Seems like that's an engine issue for Lando Norris. Don't think he has crashed. Let's have a look at the car. Yeah, car looks all right. But he has just stopped at the middle of the circuit. So, engine issue for Lando Norris. And he's retired the car. And that's the end of that. Yeah, he couldn't even drive it down the escape road. The car's just switched off. So the marshals are going to have to push it down there. VSC currently deployed. They might just call a red flag for about 2 minutes and then push the car off the circuit and then get going again. But we've got a replay here with Lando Norris. He's in 7th gear. He's getting into the Nouvelle chicane. Gets onto the brakes and then, the car, it's all just switched off, I think. Yeah, it looks like his steering wheel's just switched off. Total loss of power. And there you go. Mercedes power unit, folks. Mercedes power unit. Alonso's GP2 engine days. Yeah, I mean, the reliability has been pretty bad, really, for McLaren. And I don't know, like, the Mercedes one, have they had as many issues? I'm not so sure. Toto press the red button. No, I mean, they used to have things like this before where you could have the Mercedes team sort of dictate which modes the teams could use. throughout the race and throughout whatever, but the regulations say that they have to give the exact same power unit specification to the teams, regardless of if you want extra performance or not. So they have the same engine, the same battery, the same everything. However, the software is down to the McLaren team, so the McLaren can choose how to code it and things like that. Right, we've still got a VSC then, so it looks like they're just going to push Norris's car off the circuit and then we'll get going soon enough. Okay. They've got Piastri's car back in the garage, so I think maybe was Piastri in the garage before? I'm not sure. Maybe after Norris's car has had an issue, they're going to just double check and run some diagnostics on Piastri's car, make sure the same thing doesn't happen to his car. Because, of course, they will have the numbers, of course, of what happened to Norris's car before it failed. Maybe you got a drop in oil pressure or whatever it was. And then they'll make sure it doesn't happen to Piastri's car. But McLaren have had quite the few battery issues, especially at the start of the season, and this seems to be something like that. If his steering wheel is just totally switched off, But his steering wheel switched off, and then I presume his engine also switched off. It's a bit strange. Okay. Still the VSC. Have now just got track sector 13 declared clear, so VSC should be ending relatively soon. Yeah. Kanua, thanks for joining the channel membership. Much appreciated. Bro, how can you forget about the papaya rules? If the lead car's drivers broke down, then the second one also has to suffer. Yeah. How did I forget, man? How did I forget? Yeah, Norris's car is broken down, so because of papaya rules, Piastri also has to sit in the garage. Guaranteed, yeah, 100% facts. I reckon they'll just run some more checks and then send them out soon enough. But yeah, there we go. VSC is finished, and we're back to green flag. And Hadjar did one lap of the circuit there, folks. So he did do an install lap just to double check everything's working. And now they are going to, I presume what they're going to do is get him out on a run plan. Unless they found an issue, of course, at which point they'll have to disassemble the car and then try and find the issue. Can you explain why they have an extra DRS wing? Yes. Oh, Hamilton says my seat keeps clicking. A bit strange there. Yeah. Yes, the extra DRS wings, essentially, right? So, typically, this season, you would have your rear wing, and it could be in its corner mode or it could be in its straight mode, right, when you drop it and then you get some extra top speed. And the mechanism that you used to drop it was some sort of actuator. It'd have to be quite the strong actuator because it has to resist all of this force of the air that's pushing on it and things like that. So that is essentially what was the system. You'd have an actuator and the wing would drop up and down. But here in Monaco, because there is no straight mode on the entire circuit, the wing is constantly in its upright and locked position, they can get rid of the actuator totally, and they can put something else there. So the FIA have a certain amount of space allocated, saying, you know, whatever design of actuator you want to put there, you can put stuff there. It doesn't have to be an actuator. It can be a little rear wing or a mini little winglet, and it doesn't specify. So what the teams have done is they've got rid of the actuator and they've added these tiny little winglets to produce some more downforce. Yeah. All right, Charles Leclerc is on a push lap here. Let's see what he can do as he makes his way through the casino and down the hill in towards Mirabeau. Quite the tricky corner there on the downhill braking. Got to brake a little bit earlier than you expect. Of course, the downhill nature of the corner also lends itself to a bit of understeer, which makes it all the more tricky and difficult to drive. You make your way now through the tunnel. Nouvelle chicane, shift the brake balance forward a little bit to ensure that your car is not going to lock the rears like we saw with Fernando Alonso at the end of FP1. And then tap the brakes, flick the car left through to back. Again, swimming pool chicane, little tap of the brakes, lift as well, flick left, right, repeat again, but flick right, left. And then you go into Rascasse, deep on the brakes there, carry as much speed as you can late into the apex because you haven't got a very big exit anyway, and then you get a good exit out of the final corner. You come across the line, and what's it going to be there for Charles Leclerc? It is P1, even though he's yellow in 2 sectors, but he still goes purple overall, and he's about a tenth up on Lewis Hamilton. That first sector was incredible. I mean, look at that. He's nearly 2 tenths up just in the first sector as Charles Leclerc. So not too shabby from the Monegasque. I mean, I'm sure he knows these streets like at the back of his hands. He's grown up here, hasn't he? So, yeah, F1 Gamer, do you know I'm going to the Barcelona Grand Prix, my first race? Oh, well, enjoy it, man. Barcelona Grand Prix is always a great one. Which part of the circuit are you going to be sat at? Because I think, turn number 10 is a pretty good spot to sit at. Turn number 1 also. But a lot of these corners through Spain, they're also high speed. They're very, very incredible to watch. Also, yeah, folks, I would like to ask you guys, so if you could go to any Formula 1 circuit and also sit at any corner on this circuit, which corner would it be and which track would it be? I would say the turn number 4 at the Brazil circuit at Interlagos, just after the Senna S and the second DRS zone. That's a pretty good spot to sit at. Suzuka, just through the S section, being able to see the cars go up the hill through the S's. Spa at Eau Rouge. Oh yeah, the chicane at Australia, turn number 9 and 10, where the cars go left and right through there in like 7th gear is pretty incredible. All right, we're getting soft tyres, ladies and gentlemen. Soft tyres for Verstappen, Antonelli, Russell, Hulkenberg, and I think Piastri as well. So it should be pretty good now. Kota turn 1, ooh, yeah, Kota turn 1. I think also the Kota in the final sector number 3, just after the straight. I think it's turns 12, 13, 14, 15. They're all that sequence of corners. Some pretty good battling over there as well. The atmosphere in Monza would be pretty nice to experience, I've got to say. Yeah. So do the front wing inlets open or not? No, the front winglets also stay shut, but I don't think they've added any extra winglets there because, I don't know, it might not be worth it, or there's some other tests that they'll have to pass which they might not pass. So Istanbul turn 8, yeah. Mexico turn 1 also is pretty good. Imagine you just combined all of these corners, right? All of the corners that I've just mentioned, put them all into one racetrack. That would be spectacular. All right, 35 minutes remain on the clock, and we've got Hadjar doing some more laps now. So they have repaired his car as expected, and he's now out on medium tires doing some runs. Okay. Parabolica at Monza. Oh yeah, Parabolica would be pretty nice actually. Why did Leclerc pit? Probably to put on some soft tires. Or maybe he's just hiding his pace. Is he hiding his pace? Yeah, he is. Charles Leclerc. Well, actually, no. If Charles Leclerc has hooked up his three most perfect sectors, he would still be quickest out of all of the drivers. He'd gain about a tenth of lap time, or not even a tenth, half a tenth of lap time from where he is right now. So Charles Leclerc half a tenth away from his theoretical perfect lap. Lewis Hamilton about 1/10 away from his theoretical perfect lap. Max Verstappen 3/10 away, or a quarter of a second away from his theoretical perfect. We've got Hulkenberg, fourth position. Mate, what a drive from Nico Hulkenberg. He's doing a great job. Yeah. Brilliant. Antonelli finds himself up into the P3 there. Here comes Max Verstappen. It's purple in the middle sector for Max. He makes his way through Raskas now. What's it going to be for him? Bottas improves up into 17th position. And here comes Max Verstappen across the line. It's P1 by 1.5 tenths. I mean, look, very, very nice lap there from Max. But the Ferraris, right? Ferrari fans, the delusion can live on because the soft tyres are approximately 3/10, 4/10 faster than the mediums. So there's still some more margin there for the Ferraris to improve. Was it gearbox issues for Lando? I don't think it was gearbox. His steering wheel just turned off. So I suspect electrical or engine related. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was gearbox. Honestly, turn 12 at Madrid, 20-degree left-hander banking, it would be absolute spectacle. I haven't actually seen that. I know that Carlos Sainz did a hot lap around Madrid, but I haven't actually looked much at the circuit, so I'll check that out. Lewis Hamilton, there in second position. He goes a tenth back from Max Verstappen on 18-lap-old medium tyres, folks. 18 lap old mediums, and Max is on 4 lap old softs, and Hamilton's still only a tenth back. Damn, the Ferraris are good. Oh. Also, folks, when you type something in the chat, there's about a 30-second delay till it comes up on my there'll be like a 30-second delay till it gets read back to you because there's a delay in the whole broadcasting system. So yeah, there's no point spamming messages in the chat because I'm not going to see them all straight away. And you're not going to be able to realize that I've actually seen them. So you got to wait around for a bit. There's a bit of a delay in the whole live streaming system. Okay, Charles Leclerc is now out on soft tyres, so let's see what the Monegasque can do. And I suspect Hamilton, yeah, there you go, he's into the pits, so he'll be putting on some softs as well. Okay, Hadjar continuing on his medium tyre run, he has a bit more ground to make up. George Russell improves, he's half a tenth back from Max Verstappen, both drivers on 5-lap-old soft tyres, so nicely done there by George. And let's see Antonelli on his previous lap, he is, he's 3/10 quicker than Antonelli's best time. Let's see what Antonelli can do though. He's currently making his way through the first sector, and yeah, he's made a mistake there, or he's at least doing a slow lap. Bortoletto, a 19.4 in the first sector, not too shabby. And middle sector, 35.3. There's a bit more improvement there in the middle sector, to be honest. Okay. Verstappen third fastest in sector 1. So he's getting close to the Ferraris in the first sector, but still about a tenth and a half till where Charles Leclerc is in sector 1. We'll see what he can do in the middle sector, where he's currently second fastest. Oh, here comes George Russell. Russell gets out of the way, and what's it for Max? It's a 34.7, so about 10ths lower than his previous best there. Of course, the soft tyres do wear out a whole lot quicker. Track temperature also up at 31 degrees, contributing to them wearing out quicker. So that's another thing to take into account. And there you go, he comes across the line, and he goes about half a tenth slower than his previous lap. Alright, Charles Leclerc now on his warm-up lap. Yeah, he's building those tyres up to temperature, and then he's going to go for a push lap. Ferrari's always brilliant on a Friday when nobody's racing them, and then nowhere on a Sunday. Yeah, honestly, if you look at the FP2 standings of every single free practice session last year, and then you look at the race standings of every single, how many points the team scored in the race, then what you will see is that Ferrari, rapidly, it's Ferrari and Aston Martin the biggest culprits of this, where their free practice performance relative to all of the other teams is hugely better, and then when it gets to the race, their performance is damped down a bit. So you can look back through the numbers, and if you do run the calculations on, because you'd expect over the course of the season it to sort of average out. If in free practice 1 Russell is sometimes the best, or Piastri is sometimes the best, and then he gets second place in the race, and Norris is sometimes second and he gets first place in the race, it will average out. But something that you do distinctly notice is the Ferraris and the Aston Martins that always exceed in practice and under-deliver in the race. Okay, first sector there for Charles is 4 tenths down. His second sector, he's backed off the pace because he's 3 seconds down. Nobody ever talks about how these cars are smaller than last year. That should make Monaco way more interesting. I mean, they are smaller, but just, not by a huge margin, it's not enough to contribute towards hugely better racing. Of course, every little helps, but yeah, I'm forecasting a single-digit number of overtakes. But I would love to be proven wrong, but I think we're going to have a single-digit number of overtakes, if you exclude lap number 1, of course. Piastri up into 6th position. Not too bad there from him. Max purple, wow. Purple there from Max. And used tyres as well. Yeah, used tyres, and he improves on his previous lap. Very nicely done. Charles Leclerc now, he is fastest in the middle sector, and his first sector time is also not too slow, and his final sector is looking extremely good actually. Look at that, 3 purple mini sectors. Is it going to be 4 purple mini sectors? No, it's not, but it's still green, and his foot is flat to the floor, and he crosses the line. He goes half a second clear of Max Verstappen. Not too bad. Not too bad whatsoever, but, you know, his tyres are only 4 laps old. Max's are 9 laps old, so there's some more sort of balanced look there. Carlos Sainz top 10, not too bad there, not too bad. Wait, what? Max is on wets. What's going on? Yeah. Oh, I mean, we love the FIA data system. It's always so accurate. Never have we had any mistakes coming from the data system here. Yeah. Must be the water, guys. Must be the water. That's what it is. All right. Actually, look, it's Max Verstappen doing the McLaren strategy. He's got the flexibility now to lose the race. So, you know, in Canada, McLaren, they picked the intermediate tyres, so they had the flexibility to lose the race if they wanted to. That's what they were doing, and this is the 4D levels of chess that they were playing. Usually, you know, we just don't really understand it. You know, us mere mortals don't understand the flexibility to lose the race. It's definitely required. There you go. It's fixed itself, and it's now medium tyres. Hamilton purple in the middle sector takes that away from Charles Leclerc. Both Ferrari drivers trading purple middle sectors. And here comes Lewis Hamilton across the line. He goes a 10th up on Charles Leclerc. Very nicely done. This was Hamilton's first lap on a set of soft tyres. Charles Leclerc messed up his first lap. Had to go again. So there you go, a little bit of difference in the tyre wear for both the drivers, but they look relatively close to each other, and Hamilton is performing quite nicely. Yeah. Very nice lap, very nice lap. Okay. Also, I just want to ask you guys. I don't know if some of you guys are seeing this on YouTube chat, but it seems like YouTube chat is now deciding to also translate stuff. So if you type something in your own native language, in Spanish or in Italian or whatever, it seems like YouTube is translating that stuff. I don't know if it's just for me. So as like me being the content creator, I can read all of the chat messages, but do let me know if that's also coming up for you guys. I'm sure some of you will test it as well. But yeah. Okay, I'll write in Swedish then, you see. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it does come through actually. You wrote in Swedish. And I can see it. Well, I'm not, maybe it's, yeah, I can see the German and quite a few different languages here actually. Maybe it's just for me then. Not from Dutch. Yeah, someone's typed not from Dutch. It's in Polish now. I'll write in Danish. Yeah, I mean, I can promise you, I definitely don't read I don't understand all these languages. It seems like they are translating. Oh, it's quite nice to see. All right, 20 minutes remain on the clock, folks, and we have got Ferrari 1-2, very reminiscent of FP1. The Max Verstappen is a lot closer, though, only 1.5 tenths back from Lewis Hamilton, and then we've got George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Yeah, it seems like it what probably happens is it gets rolled out in different regions of the world. So I think what it does is, for, maybe because I'm in the UK, and English is probably one of the most translated languages too. It's probably been rolled out in the UK and the US first, and then slowly it'll get rolled out to all of the different countries as well. But seems like it's pretty good. Oh, cool. Hello, we love Ferrari here. Yeah. Bortoleto up into 8th position, very nicely done. And again, the Audi, both drivers in the top 10, very nice. Behrman again outperforming Esteban Ocon. It's getting quite consistent here that Behrman is outperforming Esteban Ocon. So we'll see how much longer that lasts and how much longer Esteban Ocon's Formula One career lasts. If it depends, of course, how much he's contributing to the development of the car, because he does have vastly more experience than Bortoleto does. Oh, sorry, than Behrman does, and hence, in that regard, he'll be very valuable to the Haas team, even if he is slower than Behrman. But maybe there's another driver that could come in with a bit more experience to replace Ocon. Well, let's see. Lawson's a bit slow. Yeah, I mean, he is, what, 4 tenths back from Lindblad? Yeah, fair enough. But also, I do know that in the Racing Bulls team, they, whoever is the management in Racing Bulls, their approach is very much so, go slow in FP1, go slow in FP2, go slow in FP3, and slowly build it all up. So yes, while their lap times are looking shockingly far behind compared to the Ferraris and things like that, I do think that there is a lot more left on the table for a lot of these drivers, because it is, it just doesn't make any sense to take the risks today for what reward, right? Like, why take a risk if you're not going to have any sort of reward whatsoever? And it can't always be pedal to the metal, right? It can't always be maximum attack. All right, we've got 8,700 people tuned into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in, by the way. If you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. Hopefully you're enjoying it and liking the commentary and this, that, and the other. If you do have any ideas of things that I could do to improve the commentary, then do let me know. We've got about 15 minutes left or so, and that should be probably about 10 more laps for the drivers. And yeah. Is Max doing a hot lap? No, he's not. He seems to be... Well, he's about a full second off in the first sector, so I don't think he is doing a hot lap. What's Hadjar doing? Hadjar's just got a lot of catching up to do, really. He... of course, missed out after he crashed in FP1. That also will have knocked his confidence a little bit. Also will mean that he doesn't want to wreck the car again. So, he most certainly will not be driving anywhere near the limit. And that's why he's so far back. F1 Gamer, has it ever happened that all the teams lined up 1, 2 for the whole grid? Thanks. No, I think the closest that we've had is the top 8 be four different, like 4 teams all in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that sort of fashion. But I don't think we've had the entire grid line up in that way ever. Would I commentate on helium? I'm sure I could get a voice changer out or something to make my voice really high pitched. But it seems like the majority of you do like my voice the way it is, so we'll keep it that way. Max says he has no grip. Max says that every weekend, doesn't he? And yeah, he may be struggling with grip, right? It might be his warm-up procedure isn't working as well as he wants it to. Maybe he's got too much fuel in the car. Yeah, because the thing is, right now his tyres are quite old and his lap times are in the 1 minute 16s. So that could be an indicator that he came into the pits, put a bunch more fuel in the car, and now he's trying to simulate what a race start would be like. You know, what is it going to be like driving these soft tyres at the start of the race? Because in Monaco, we know that either you can make an overtake off the line on lap number 1, turn number 1, or you can get the overtake done via strategy. So there is the potential to pit onto soft tyres to start the race on soft tyres, get a really good launch, maybe get one position up in towards turn number 1, and then just hang it out on those soft tyres. So maybe Max is experimenting, seeing what he can do on the softs. All right. Your voice is spot on. More importantly, your elocution is spot on. Well, thank you. I'm not exactly sure what that word means, but I'm sure I'll Google it later on. Yeah. It's probably just the way that I'm pronouncing things. Oh, okay. The art of or skill of clear, expressive, and confident public speaking. Oh, well, thank you very much, buddy. I mean, I guess I've got reasonably good at it after doing it for 6 years now, so. It is important, though, to be properly sort of expressive, yeah, with the words and things like that. All right, we've got Hadjar. That is another improvement there. Step up, getting closer to Max. That's about 4/10 improvement from his previous lap. Slowly building up the confidence as is required. Still got the Astons at the back of the pack alongside the Cadillac. Those two are inseparable, and Isaac Hadjar makes a big leap forward on this lap. 6/10 improvement, so a 4/10 improvement on the previous run. Now 6/10 improvement. He's not too far, but well, he's still 9/10 back from Max, but he's making progress. He's making progress. All right. Jude Behrman is so close to Audi. This is nuts. Maybe has to be competitive in Monaco. Maybe. I mean, look, in Monaco, of course, the driver makes a much bigger impact than other circuits, right? So that's where you get Hamilton performing well. That's where you get Verstappen, you get Alonso, and potentially Behrman, right? Performing well. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see how it goes for him. But Behrman's been on great form, right? To be honest, I don't think he's been on bad form since he joined Formula One. He's always been performing pretty decently. Of course, not been much in the limelight, given that he's sort of in the mid pack, but his performances have been consistent. His qualifying performances have been great. So, yeah, consistently chipping away and consistently improving as a driver. That's exactly what you need to be doing in your first few years in Formula One. The length of the circuit around 3.3 kilometers, just over 2 miles. That is how long the track is. So you divide that by 22, and each driver's got about 150 meters of space in front of them to the next driver ahead if they're all equally spaced around the circuit. Quite short, actually, given that these cars travel, 150 meters in the space of what, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds? Yeah. All right then. Just an update for anyone that's just joined. Lando Norris had an issue with his car. It was the steering wheel just switched off as he was getting onto the brakes in towards the Nouvelle chicane. So that is why he is not taking part. He did not crash or anything like that. Just a mechanical issue that is seeming to be plaguing McLaren for all season long, really. They've had electrical issues and now gearbox issues in Canada, and then, well, another issue here in Monaco. Can we see an onboard lap? Indeed we can. I should have showed that a little bit earlier on, but better late than never. So you make your way through the final corner here, well, in towards the final corner. Big thing here, go all the way up to the wall on the left-hand side. And in fact, you know what? Let me just show you a little bit more detail. So you can see here that the curb here on the exit is a little bit raised up. You can see the curb's raising up towards the wall, so it's actually quite nice to go all the way up to that curb. It sort of helps you stay on the circuit, but also pushes you a little bit in the right direction when you're getting on the power. So drivers aim to go all the way up to that curb. Then you can see, right, just pay attention to the car, and you'll notice this little bump as it goes through the braking zone. So you go and you get that little bump there just before the turning in point. Let's show you again. So at this point, you're on the brakes, you're 100% on the brake pedal, you start to ease off the brakes and then get onto the car, and you see that little bump there. Very easy to lock up on that bump in towards Saint-Devote, so the drivers are very careful to not do that, and they get off the brakes nice and early to prevent that one from happening. Then you make your way through in towards the casino. There's a big swelling in the road essentially there on the left hand side. The drivers go to the right to avoid that. Onto the brakes into Mirabeau, downhill braking again, now into the hairpin, super long corner, as much steering angle as you can get. Then you go down towards Portier, second gear, short shifting onto the exit to get as much power down as possible. Seventh gear through here, shift your brake balance forwards a little bit to prevent rear locking. Hope your engine doesn't just switch off like it did for Lando Norris. Then you, well, continue on towards Tabac, and at this point it's a tap of the brakes, flick the car to the left and stay within, well, don't hit the wall basically. Then you go through the second part of the swimming pool chicane. This is where Isaac Hadjar crashed. Then you go towards Rascasse, super deep onto the brakes and super deep onto the corner as well, because you don't have a big exit there on the exit of Rascasse, so maximize your entry and then maximize your exit for the final corner and across the line, and that's a lap of Monaco, folks. Quite a nice lap, and quite a tricky one as well. We got about 7 minutes 30 left on the clock, and we've got both Ferraris in the garage. So is Isaac Hadjar, so is Lance Stroll. Everyone else is on the circuit doing some laps. Wait, how is Hulkenberg just behind Piastri with mediums? These tyres are the tyres that the drivers have got on right now, but the best lap times that you can see up on the screen, they've all been set on soft tyres. None of them have been set on mediums, none of them have been set on hards. It's just that Hulkenberg did his best lap on soft tyres and is now switched on to the mediums, and it's just showing the current tyre as of right now. Yeah. We've got a timer at the bottom left there, just to 6 minutes and 30 seconds remain on the clock. We've got quite a few lap times deleted here, folks, but most of these lap times have been drivers going straight on to avoid traffic hitting them or anything like that. So track limits isn't really an issue here in Monaco, unless, of course, you just cut the corner very, very blatantly. Damn, Piastri's really struggling to improve. Yeah, I mean, he's there in 7th, but Lando Norris, Lando Norris didn't really get to set many quick lap times. But for Piastri, let's have a look. Yeah, Piastri's theoretical best should be about 0.3 quicker, 0.2 quicker from where he is right now. And that'll put him ahead of Hadjar, but not that much further up. So, yeah, the McLaren struggling a little bit. And, I think McLaren overall, though, have still made the right decision by prioritizing high-speed performance, medium-speed performance, and their slow-speed things, of course, suffering. And, you will struggle at tracks like Monaco, Singapore, and Hungary. But, that's about it. How many more tracks are there on the calendar that are slow speed, per se? And overall, when you average out the speed of every corner on the Formula One circuit, it's typically a lot higher than what you see here on the Formula One calendar. Sorry, and the McLaren car works an awful lot better for that. Oh, that's Sergio Perez in the casino. There is an escape road there, and I suspect. Wait, has Sergio Perez crashed, or has he? What's going on? Red flag there for Sergio Perez, and do not overtake. I think, yeah, Perez hit the barrier. Wait. The problem is my broadcast is now showing some football game. So if someone could let me know what actually happened. With 4 minutes left on the clock, Sergio Perez has caused a red flag. Everyone else driving into the pit lane, of course, and according to the team radios, it seems like he's had a shunt and he's actually crashed. What not particularly positive there for Cadillac. Smoke from the engine and fire. Right, okay. Brakes on fire. Looks like his brakes were on fire. Right. Brakes on fire, that's a bit of a strange one, because when you go through, once you exit Saint-Devote, you accelerate quite hard up that hill, and you actually have quite a bit of speed. Was Sergio Perez on a cooldown lap? No, his previous lap was a 1 minute 19, so he would have been on a bit of a push lap now. So it's not like he was driving slowly or anything. That is odd. But the final car of Nico Hülkenberg makes his way in towards the pits for the red flag. And, of course, the track has been declared clear. We'll see how long it takes for us to get going again. Session resuming in about 30 seconds, folks. 30 seconds, and session should be resuming. All right, this is good. Perez has got a lap time deleted. I mean, come on, guys. Like he's stopped the car. You don't need to go and delete his lap time. Okay. Practice is not technically over. In about 15 seconds, there's going to be a green light at the end of the pit lane, and we'll see a few more cars leave the circuit. But Sergio Perez, unfortunately, has had an early end to FP2. We've got the pit lane exit open. There you go, and we'll have Gasly out as our first car. How many sets of tyres did those drivers get for the weekend? I think is it 11? I think 11 is the right number. 11 or 13, it's between those two. Smoke in the cockpit is what Perez said. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There was a fire. It got put out by the marshals. He got it moved off to the casino section of the track, and he seems to be all good. Final 1 minute, the drivers are literally just going to go drive around the circuit, find themselves on the starting grid, do a practice start, back into the pits, job done. So that is that. So quick summary of what's happened in FP2 and in FP1. We've had a few incidents, nothing major really apart from Hadjar and his incident with the barrier. But his car managed to get repaired, and he's done some decent laps today in the second half of FP2. And Audi's looking pretty strong with their chassis. We've got the Ferraris, of course, looking great in the slow speed corners. What else of note? Lando Norris had some issues with his car, and that's put him with only 8 laps on the lap board, well, on the leaderboard, whereas everyone else has done like 30 plus laps, 20 plus laps. So, in fact, yes, everyone with the exception of, I don't know, not everyone, but yeah, not enough laps completed there for Norris, putting it simply enough. And yeah, that's been about it really. Nothing all that exciting apart from the Ferraris doing exceptionally well. So I already have the FP3 stream up on the channel page. So is the quali stream. So just as a quick reminder, the qualifying session will be taking whatever time it is for you in the world right now. If you go back 2 hours, that is when qualifying will be starting tomorrow. And well, hope to see you there, because of course Monaco qualifying is the most exciting qualifying session of the year. So that'll be brilliant to see. And we've got FP3 a few hours before that as well. So I'm going to end the stream. It'll take you over to the quali stream. Just hit the like button, hit the reminder button. I'll look forward to seeing you there. I'll start about half an hour before the qualifying session does begin. But in 2 hours backwards from now is when the qualifying, like Q1, the green light actually starts. Yeah. Hamilton P1, Charles Leclerc P2, Verstappen P3, Russell P4, Antonelli P5, and that is our top 5 for FP3. Yeah, brilliant, really. So it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on wherever you are around the world. And I shall see you in probably, I think, 18 hours or 19 hours for FP3 and 22 hours for Quali. Yeah, bye-bye.